Toastmasters and guests. One of the most popular courses at Harvard University is a course on positive psychology taught by Dr. Ben Shahar. This course is basically how do we get to a state of happiness? And Dr. Ben Shahar has a book out that he calls Happier. You'll notice that it's not called happiness. Dr. Ben Shahar knows, just like our forefathers, that the state of happiness is very elusive. It's very hard to reach a state of happiness and stay there. Our forefathers called it the pursuit of happiness. Today I want to talk about happiness, what it is, why it is so hard to reach that state, and how I believe you can reach that state of happiness. A few months ago, I was researching a speech, and I came across a term, a hormone, dopamine. I think we've all heard of dopamine, or most of us have heard of dopamine. In a particular article I was reading, they referred to dopamine as the happy hormone. And being the true geek that I am, I researched it. And I researched it some more, and I researched it some more. Why is it that we can't just make synthetic dopamine and shoot it into our veins and just be happy all the time? Well, that's really what drugs are. We try all the time. Our body plays a cruel joke on us when we are happy. We reach a state of happiness, or we think we reach a state of happiness. We secrete dopamine, or we produce dopamine, but we also have dopamine receptors. We produce the dopamine, and then we receive the dopamine. But as we do the same task over and over again, the dopamine production is less, and also the receptors are less than that. We have fewer receptors. So we try to get that same state of happiness with doing the same thing, and we're just not as happy as we were the first time. It's never as good as the first time. So we try a little bit harder, or we try a little bit more. We try to produce more dopamine. But those dopamine receptors, they're not getting reproduced. So this leads to addiction in many cases. We have our doctor here that would say that obesity is caused by dopamine, or the need for dopamine. When we eat, we produce dopamine, but something happens where the hormone of the hormone of being satisfied is overpowered by the dopamine. Something in our body say, hey, you're full, but I just love this chocolate ice cream so much, I just got to keep on eating it. So we keep on eating it. We have other addictions. We have addictions to interruption, and I know my speech was on this a few months ago. We have our phones, we have email, we have chat. We get addicted to interruption. That's why it's actually called, we tend to call it a crackberry. We like when our BlackBerry vibrates in our pocket. We like to be interrupted. Speaking of crackberries, we call it crackberry because of crack. Crack attacks your dopamine production and your dopamine receptors. It just obliterates the entire system. We're also addicted. We also become addicted to love. Love, scientifically, is dopamine, norepinephrine, and oxytocin. Yes, I am a true geek. What can I say? The dopamine production as we fall in love is very, very high, and we receive that dopamine. And over time, dopamine lessens, and that's when we start to talk about, maybe I'm not in love with you anymore, maybe I don't love you anymore. That's when, if we don't watch out, divorce happens. Because that same dinner at the Outback on Friday night, which used to do it for you, now takes 2 weeks in Maui. It's dopamine receptors. That's why for children, every new experience that they have is like jumping out of an airplane. Everything is new. Dopamine production is very, very high. They have very, very many dopamine receptors. To a little girl, coming home to your little kitchen set and having your little toy blender and that whirring sound and pretending that you're baking a cake, it's the greatest thing ever. To a little boy, having a train set and having the train just go around several times is great. up until the point that he sees his friend's train set. It's bigger. It has a bridge. It has these toy trees and toy cows. All of a sudden, the dopamine production that he had for the other toy train set is not enough. Then over at his other friend's house, he has a train video game. Oh man, dopamine production. I've got to have that train video game until it becomes boring. Now I need a train video game for my Nintendo Wii. Daddy, can we have a Nintendo Wii? What do you mean we can't afford it? What do you mean we need money? Oh, money, happiness. Soon we start to equate money with happiness. At first, he might have wanted to be a train conductor. But now we start to think in terms of money. I need to go to school, I have to get good grades, I have to go to college, and I'm going to be a computer engineer. I don't know what they do, I just know they make a lot of money, and I want to be happy. So, dopamine production. I got my degree. Dopamine production. I need to get my own apartment. I need a new car. Dopamine production. Soon that's not enough. Maybe I need a graduate degree. Dopamine production. I need a bigger house. I need a bigger car. Dopamine production. I need a vacation twice a year. Dopamine production. I need a bigger house, a German sports car, and a week trip to Maui. Oops, divorce. Maybe that wasn't enough. Okay. Dopamine production. But I just got divorced. Half my assets are gone, but I'm going to be happy again. Dopamine production. I got to work harder. I got to work 60-hour weeks. Dopamine production. Oh man, it's 6 o'clock. I got to go get my daughter. Honey, what do you want to do? It's Friday. We can do anything you want to do. I want to go home. It's Friday. You can do anything you want to do. Daddy, I want to go home and bake you a cake. Dopamine production. Today I submit to you, happiness is experiencing that futility and looking for happiness from a child's eyes. That time when you wanted that train set, that time when you wanted to bake a cake, through a child's eyes. Now I'm not advocating, and some single ladies in here, do I need to have a child? No, I'm not advocating that. Although the fertility rate is going down for citizens in the United States, the average number of children that people are having is going down. The age at which we're having children is going way up. But there are many other opportunities for you to be involved in a child's life so the child can experience happiness. There are 126,000 juvenile delinquents in this country who may never get to experience that happiness. 3 out of 10 children will not graduate on time in this country by either dropping out or dropping out temporarily or just dropping out altogether. 15% of the children in this country take advantage of after-school programs, summer school programs, simply because it's not really marketed. There are not enough volunteers to take care of our children. And there are 120, of the 500,000 children in foster care right now, 120,000 are available right now for adoption, just in this country. It is possible to experience happiness by helping these children experience happiness. I submit to you, that's true happiness. Now you can go and try to work this system as much as you want, dopamine production, dopamine reception. But I say it's much easier than that. Get involved in a child's life. Thank you.